Well, a lot of people accuse me of being a Tesla fanboy. How about that? Have you got an answer for that? Porsche Taycan, bright red. Is this my new car? I'm Dave, welcome to Dave Takes It On, and we're at Chester East Services on the M56. We're here today to have a look at the GridServe 350 kilowatt chargers, and we're going to find whether it's worth coming to a 350 or whether a smaller charger might be better. So we'll be looking at the speeds people are getting, and yes, that includes the Porsche Taycan, but no, it's not mine. Wish it was. Okay, so we've got 12 350 kilowatt chargers. So the real acid test is always to look at what people actually get. We've just taken all the readings from the Porsche Taycan that you saw me with earlier on, and we'll give those results a bit later in the video. But here we have a Kia. Now let's have a look at the model, make sure I get this right. This is a Kia Niro. Sorry for dashing about. So the Kia Niro, plugged in, socket is at the front, which gives you access to the Tesla open to all chargers, because this one will reach wherever you park. And the reading we're getting here. So what we're going to look at now is the different cars, different states of charge, but all at the same chargers. So I'm going to go down. We've got a BMW. It's an i3. This is quite an older one. So let's see what we're getting here. I believe the charging rate on these is down as little as 50 kilowatts or 80 kilowatts, something in that region. It's not huge. So again, we've got a reading. We can read the state of charge. We can read the actual power that the charger is provided to the car, and we can look at what's actually going into it. So we're going to move down again. Oh, and here we have a Volkswagen van. Again, these are becoming much more popular. These are the ones that the VW bus is based on, which is the replacement for the old Volkswagen Caravannette. Lovely vans are becoming very, very popular. So he's plugged in here. Same again, let's have a look what he's getting. So let's have a look here, and we can look at the charging rate here. And these, I am told, have a maximum charging rate of 100 kilowatts. So whatever happens, they're not going to get the 350 from this charger. Now I would go to the next bay. Unfortunately, it's shut off again, and we have the ABB engineers, and they're looking into a number of issues. So one of these chargers, at least we know, is got an issue, and there's no other cars at this moment in time. So we've been here probably about half an hour. We have actually just gone in, we've had a coffee. We came, it was really packed. We arrived now and it's pretty much empty. So this shows the turnover of these. These are capable of very fast charging. And what's really nice to see here is just the variety of EVs that you see. When you go to a Tesla supercharger, particularly dedicated Tesla ones, you never see MG4s or Porsche Taycans or BMWs or Volkswagen buses. All you see is Teslas, and that's fine, but it's nice to see the change. Really nice, another thing to mention is we keep getting recognised everywhere we go, particularly me. Jonas is also starting to get recognised. He hasn't been in front of the camera much. But we're here earlier on, customer, viewer of ours, David, he's from Poole in Dorset, and he was trying to charge on these GridServes, and he's gone now, but he had a Volvo XC30. Beautiful car, he's had it about 18 months, says he'd never go back. And this is the first time he's had a problem with charging. Tried a couple of these chargers, they just didn't work, ended up on the end one. That's when we arrived, he recognised me, came over, asked for help. Couldn't help him. What I did do though was suggest that because he was at a 76% state of charge and he only needed a top up to get him to his next destination, I suggested that he went over to the 50 kilowatts to prove once and for all whether it's his car that's giving the problem or whether it's the charger. Now, what he was finding when he plugged it in, it went in, turned white. Then he went and the charger asked for a contactless card, so he put that in, said payment authorised, and then it said error, and he did that a couple of times.
Luckily, GridServe only charge £1 pre-authorisation fee, so this is not going to affect him. But trying 3 or 4 times, if you've got a £40 pre-authorisation fee, that's quite serious for some people. So he drove over there, we followed him over, and he asked me to plug it in, which I did, because David, like me, well, no, not like me, he's a bit older than me. I won't give his age out, but he looks quite sprightly for his age. Anyway, plugged in there, instantly connected, instantly started charging. So he was happy then. In his mind, he said he probably had enough power to get to the next destination anyhow, but he did want to do a top up just to give him reassurance. But if his car couldn't charge, there's no point setting off on a journey. So all he did was plugged in over there, only left it in for about 10 or 15 minutes, added a good few kilowatt hours of power, and he's on his way now. So that's that. Just a quick story on the Porsche Taycan. Again, I went over, as I always do, I go and talk to people. Another regular viewer and subscriber, Paul, he's from Rotherham. New Porsche Taycan, only the second time he's charged it. Absolutely loves it. He's like me, a kid with a toy. It's brilliant. So we had a look at the Porsche Taycan, and we've been filming the charging rate on that and a few other features which we will show you. But it's nice to be recognised. And the important thing here is, Jonas pointed this one out, I didn't spot it myself, is that the people we're meeting here do not live here. For example, David was from Poole in Dorset. That's 250 miles due south. Paul was from Rotherham. That's 100 miles due east. So people who use these are not locals. Oh, we've got a Fiat 500 pulled in, sorry to interrupt. So the people who use these are not specifically locals. They are people on a journey, and they use these for a fast top-up. Now, it's a great shame when they keep going down. However, 12 chargers, you do have a fair bit of choice. So while we've been filming down there, a number of cars, I've had 2 new entrants arrive. The first one of those on the right is a Jaguar I-Pace, and on the left is a Nissan Leaf. And we took the opportunity to talk to both drivers, and we get fascinating stories. Obviously, we're here to look at the charging rates. So all we do for this is we come over here and we take a photograph or a video of what they're actually getting plugged in to a 350 kilowatt chargers. Now, the I-Pace cannot charge at 350 kilowatts, but it's interesting to see what they're getting. The other one is the Nissan Leaf. I'll wait for it to catch up. The other one's just arrived, is the Nissan Leaf. And this is obviously a CHAdeMO connector. So with these 12 GridServe chargers, 2 of them are dedicated for CHAdeMO and CCS. The rest are all just CCS2 as it is. So the owner here has come in, he's plugged in. So let's get a reading from this one as well. That's not actually reading. It's not charging. Okay, we need to tell him that if we see him. Well, while we're here, 2 new cars pulled up. We had a Jaguar I-Pace and we had a Nissan Leaf. So while we're here, we'll talk to as many people as we possibly can. And lovely story, the owners of the Jaguar I-Pace, they're from Pembrokeshire. Now, I remember Pembrokeshire really well when I was a kid. I'm a very keen surfer. I used to surf down at St David's Bay. I told them this, and turns out they come from Newgale, which is 3 miles away. So they know it well. What they've done, they've reported to me that the charging scene in Pembrokeshire is stunningly good. There are chargers in every car park. They are all around. They are really happy with it. However, they do have relatives to go and visit, which is why they're up here in Llandudno. And they say the situation there is appalling. There's just nothing. So this really shows the difference, the postcode lottery with local councils and attitude towards EV charging. At the same time, Nissan Leaf pulled in. This is a CHAdeMO charger. You might see in the background he's having a little bit of problem at the moment. It doesn't seem to want to release. However, the Nissan Leaf driver, we talked to him just briefly, loves the car, recommends them to everyone, and says with a 30 kilowatt hour battery, he only ever charges this for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. So it's really fast. He also finds it very reliable, very comfortable, lovely technology in it compared to the petrol and ice cars. Just an interesting note, the driver here is from Pembrokeshire in Wales, which is about 250 miles away, 300 maybe, something in that region. And the Nissan Leaf driver is from Sheffield. So once again, when we come to these rapid chargers and ultra rapid chargers, it's not the locals who use them in the majority of the cases. It is actually people out on the road. So we've had about 5 or 6 people we've talked to. Every one of them is using this as a transit point to get to the next stop. So while we've been filming, another car's pulled in. This is a BMW. So let's have a look what's happening here. So this one is the BMW iX3. It's a 23 plate, beautiful colour, I love the wheels, very nice car. So this one's just plugged in, so let's see what we're getting. And again, I'm going to be photographing this. So here we go. So we've got charging speed there, and 34 kilowatts. Okay, sorry, cut that bit out. Also very interesting to note that while we have been filming, 2 ABB engineers who've been here have actually gone and visited several of the chargers here, because a number of people have had issues, and they're now dealing with the owner of the Nissan Leaf, who has his charger plug stuck in the socket, and they're not sure whether it's the charger or the car. So that's ongoing at the moment. Anyway, back to the film. Now, I have to say that's a classic example, the Nero. It's up at 97% state of charge, and the charging speed has just plummeted. So is it worth staying that extra time? Well, if you're staying in there having lunch anyhow, it does no harm. But if you're on a road trip and you want to get on, why charge up to 97%? It just takes so much time. So what I would like to do in conclusion is just look at, is it worth coming to a 350 kilowatt charger? And the answer is yes, sometimes, but most of the time it actually isn't. We've looked at a variety of cars here. These are all 350 kilowatt capable, and therefore some of the cars should be getting quite considerable speeds. Is it worth driving to one of these? Well, I have to say, if you've got a car that charges slower than 100 kilowatts, there's not a lot of point of going to a 350. And if you arrive with a half state of charge battery, 50%, you're not even going to get 100 kilowatt if that's what your car is capable of. So you need to really look at, is it worth it? Now, these are 79 pence to give you an example. Not very far from here, Rivington on the M61 is an EV point. They have 180 kilowatt chargers, and they are 65 pence. So depending on where you live, you might choose to go to a lower power charger to get exactly the same amount of power at a cheaper price than going to a high power charger, which is dearer. In contrast, Ionity at Darwin, they have 350 kilowatt chargers. And if you have a Hyundai, none here at the moment, but if you have a Hyundai, you might be able to get really cheap charging there. So you're driving there then for the price, not for the power. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you do want to see more in this series and look at the individual cars and what they're achieving at different charging stations, then please subscribe so that we can notify when we next release a video for you. I'm Dave.